Welcome back. In our first tutorial, we learned how to add basic fields and use some of the basic tools in Adobe Acrobat. Now we need to learn how to clean it up a little bit, make it look more professional. So in this tutorial, we are going to learn how to edit our fields and edit PDFs within Adobe Acrobat. The first thing I notice on this form is that my checkboxes are all different sizes. So I'm going to select one of my checkboxes and I'm going to shrink it down into the size that I want. Just by dragging the corner, I can make it smaller. Once I have the first checkbox the size that I want, I can select another checkbox by clicking Shift and choosing that checkbox. Then I come over here to match size on the right hand side and I'm going to click Match Width and Height. When I do that, now I have two checkboxes of the same size. But I want all 5 of them to be the same size. So I'm going to do it again. This time I'll try to do all of them at once. So I've selected the remaining 3. I'll come over to the right hand side, choose Match Width and Height. And now they are all smaller, but they're not lined up where I want them to be. So now I'm going to click on each one individually, and I like to use the arrows on the keyboard in order to move them over to the size, the exact location that I want. So I'm just going to go up and over in order to do this. And as you can see, my checkboxes probably aren't quite small enough yet. They're a little bit too tall. So I need to go through the process of editing them once again. Whoops, let's go back up here. I'm going to click on the first one and make this one shorter. Alright, now I'm going to choose the remaining and again do match size. Okay, I think they're going to fit better this time. So now I will again move them around, try to get them lined up on the lines here so that it's very clear which checkbox goes with which college. Okay, that looks much better. Unfortunately, though, they're not lined up perfectly. We can use the tools to help us with that. I'll click on the first checkbox, hit Shift, and I'll choose the remaining ones. And then I come over to the right, and I can choose Align. I'm going to center align these, and now they should be lined up perfectly. As you can see, I have some gaps on some of them. I don't like that, so I'm going to use my arrows to kind of move that around a little bit. The screen's giving me trouble here. And now I can check to see how this looks by hitting Preview. Okay, these buttons look a lot better. There's still this gap right here between ESU and Barton County, so I'm going to go back and edit that just by spacing it down one more time. I'll hit Preview one more time. There, that looks lined up. That looks great. So this will be where I stop with my checkboxes. Another item that I need to adjust on this form is the size of the radial buttons. Now we're going to do this very similarly to how we did the checkboxes. I'll select one of the buttons. I'll resize that button to whatever I think will be an appropriate size. Once I have that determined, then I'll hit Shift and I'll select the remaining buttons. And I can come over here to match height and width. And they're all small, just how I want them. Now, again, I'm going to move those over. Right now they're all selected, so they're moving at the same time. If I click off, I can move them individually by using my mouse. So now I can see the numbers. I'll continue to do that. Now, one thing about the buttons are they're resting horizontally on the form. So I need to have them aligned horizontally. I'm going to choose all of the buttons in this first row and come over to align, but this time I'm going to align either at the bottom or the top or through the center horizontally. I'm going to choose align center horizontally. So now they should all line up with the numbers correctly. I can preview this and see that they do look pretty good here. It looks nice and professional, much better than the buttons below them. Some of the things that we need to edit on this form are pretty self-explanatory. For example, if you wanted to make this drop-down box smaller, you could just drag the arrows after clicking on it to whatever size you wanted it to be. But one thing that may not be obvious is how to adjust the actual PDF, the text, instead of the fields that you see on this form. So for example, up here with the colleges, I can see the line segments behind the checkboxes. We needed those line segments when this was a regular PDF, but now that's an electronic form, these aren't necessary. So what I'm going to do is go to my tools and choose Edit PDF. Once I go to Edit PDF, I see that all of the text that was on the original PDF is now outlined. This shows that it's an image that we can edit. So to edit, for example, the colleges here, I can click next to ESU and I can delete all of the segments that I don't need. And I can space it back over to make it look neat again. I can continue through, screen is giving me trouble. I can continue through and do that with the remaining colleges as well. This will look neater whenever we actually publish this. You'll just see the nice, clean, well-sized checkboxes instead of the line segments behind them. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Another thing that I noticed we need to edit is that our directions say circle the number. Well, we don't want to circle the number because now we have radio buttons, so we want to select the number instead. So I just edited that just like I would edit text in a Word document. You can go through and find other directions and other items that might need to be changed because of the fact that this is electronic form if necessary, but this will give you an idea of how to do that. We've learned quite a lot about how to adjust our PDFs into electronic forms, but one thing that we still need to know is how to adjust the fields within the forms. So I'm going to take my PDF here and I'm going to go back to Prepare Form by clicking on my tools, choosing Prepare Form. And now I'm going to choose any of these boxes and just double click on them. When I double click, the properties come up. And within the properties, I can change the names, I can change the position, I can even change the appearance. That's what I'm going to look at right now. The main thing that you'll probably want to change on the appearance is the font size. I'm going to take this one down to 10, and you might even decide that you want to go down to 8 or 9. And then I'll hit close. That way, they'll be able to fit more information within the comments box as needed. And of course, if you did this for this text box, you would probably want to do it for the other text boxes as well. Other things that you can change within the appearance would be the colors, the fonts, the names. There's lots of options. You just have to play with it and decide. You have learned a lot throughout the tutorials that you've seen today. Obviously, this form is not done. If we click on Preview, we can see that we still have a lot of buttons to add, need to adjust some of the sizes and whatnot, but you've learned enough that you should be able to finish off and create forms on your own. What we're going to do now is look at how we distribute the forms. So I'm going to go back to Edit Mode. In Edit Mode, I'm going to close out of Prepare Form just by clicking on the X at the top right-hand corner. Now, the tool that I want next is the distribute form. It's not shown here on the right-hand side, so I'm going to type in distribute form. And up came distribute. So I'll select distribute. When I select distribute, it reminds me that I need to save, which I do want to do, so I'll click save. And this is the folder that I want it in, so I'll hit save once again. Yes, I want to replace this. Now, there are options on how you actually distribute your form, and what you choose will be determined by what you are doing. For our purposes today, though, we're going to choose to distribute it through email. So I have email selected. I'll hit continue. And yes, I would like to clear the forms because I want the person opening up the eForm to have a blank form to fill out. And now I'm going to save a local copy and manually send it later so that I can actually decide who it goes to and just attach it to an email. So I'll hit next and finish. And now it's creating the response file for me. It's created the form that can now be distributed. This shows where the responses go and how many responses I have. I can close out of that. And now in the file, in the document folder that I saved it in, it'll have the option to have ESU tutorial with the distributed version. So that's where I'm going to go in order to attach it to an email and send it to someone to complete. Now that I have the form distributed, I want to check to make sure that it's in the right place. So I'm going to go to File, Open, and this opens up the folder where I saved my distributed form. I'm going to look for ESU tutorial distributed. I can see it right here. This is the PDF that I would want to attach to an email to send to whoever I need to fill out the form. So I know it's created, I know it's good to go, and I know I should be able to collect some data quickly and easily using this form. Thank you for watching my tutorial. If you would like more information on more advanced skills using Adobe Acrobat, feel free to visit Adobe Acrobat's website for more advanced tutorials. Thanks again.